Greetings, greetings, sisters and brothers, as we accompany one another on this journey of Lent, a time for us to stop along the way and to pause and reflect. God gives us this beautiful season to do just that. We've come a long way through ordinary time, and He wants us to be extraordinary this time in the situations we find ourselves in. So on this first Sunday in Lent, let us begin with the whole idea of temptation. Uh, that's the theme, of course, for the readings, but it's something that would cloud our interpretation of things. Uh, Temptations will get in the way of what we need to be focusing on and doing. But nonetheless, it's there for us because it's there. There's a great advantage uh, of temptations is that they surprise us, that they lie in wait. They are there because we are, and they get to make the first move. And so, in today's gospel, it contains the temptations of Jesus because now the devil initiates the contact. The devil decides the subject matter and suggests a plan of action. We see now Jesus is put on the defensive. The devil is so much in charge that he gets to take Jesus to the pinnacle of the temple and to the top of the mountain. We recall that it was the Spirit that led Jesus in the desert. And after that, the devil chooses the settings. Only after the third temptation does Jesus muster the muscle to banish him. Away with you, Satan. Now Jesus is in charge. This is how it is. In the midst of temptation, we often feel that we are being pulled along too quickly. We do not have the time to think it through, to consult, to reflect, to see all the implications. Speed and pressure, these are the features of temptation because it conveys the idea we've got to do this thing now, and if we don't, the consequences will be serious. When we look back, we say that we have been led astray. I think it's quite accurate because this is what I hear in the confessional. The person went along because the person could not apply the brakes, no longer in control. The temptation has the upper hand. And we could say, well, how did I get into this thing anyway? And so I understand temptation as a way of thinking and acting, not in our best interests or in the best interests of others. Because now, in the face of temptation, we are forced to decide as if we were standing on the edge of a hill. Either we fall or we step back. You and I both know that temptations differ in intensity. Finding the desert cart, excuse me, finding the dessert cart that has been wheeled up to the dining table is not the same category as your boss in the Oval Office, suggesting you cook the books or be fired. Yes, we can laugh at the chocolate mousse, but the stakes are much higher in terms of personal integrity when temptations become criminal. Big or small, our identity is questioned of who we really are. And so the devil goes for Jesus' spiritual identity. The devil begins two of the three temptations. If you are the Son of God, then Satan spells out actions that are appropriate to this Son of God status. Temptations may be actions in the world, but they're based on false understanding of who Jesus is. This level of identity of who we think we are is the hidden stuff of temptation. When we do not know who we are, temptation seizes us. But yet, when we do know who we are, we can reach out to Jesus for the grace to resist. And so, knowing who you are and remembering it is not easy. My mother told the story that grandma, the elder of three brothers and one sister, my grandmother was separated as they sailed on the ship that came to Ellis Island. Thousands of miles crossing the ocean, and now all of them lost in the country they longed for. Mom didn't want her kids to forget where we came from, nor to forget who we are. To be on the straight and narrow and not give in to temptation. And so, in our meditation and in our understanding of the gospel, what Jesus gives us to remember is that every word that comes from the mouth of God is the word that we heard when we emerged from the waters of baptism. Because when Jesus was baptized, the voice of the Father was heard. This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. And so I would suspect that Jesus meditated on this word in the sacred time of 40 days and 40 nights. Through it all, Jesus came to the conclusion about what it means. This is the strength he was in touch with. And so must we. So that as Jesus pushed back, so must we. Could we then say no? Knowing who we are is the flip side of saying who we are not. And so, to our disadvantage, we do not always remember our spiritual identity because it takes effort and reflection. And so temptations appear. They appear as options to be weighed rather than demonic invitations to be dismissed. Yes, these temptations are very, very attractive. They appeal to our fantasy selves that make us be above it all. This is the moment to have what we always wanted, a life that is always satiated, a life without injury or pain, a life radiating with splendiferous power. And so, how can we remember who we are when we are offered this tantalizing possibility of who we might become? Lent is a time for us to slow down, to take a deep breath, to think about the situation we find ourselves in, to find ourselves with others, with fraternity members. The season is a God reflection, not a strategy. Have a conversation to know the difference between temptation and option. Let us consider who we are as daughters and sons of God, and to know who is helping us to decide. And may God be with us always and in always. And may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he turn his face to you and have mercy upon you. May he turn his countenance to you and give you his peace. And may the Lord bless you, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.